Okay, got the counter shaft assembly back together with new bearings here and here. These are, let's see, I have the box somewhere. There they are. 88504 is that bearing number. These came from Noma Bearing in California. It's probably not going to focus, but if you look up Noma Bearing Corporation, you can get those. They're like $10 a piece. They are a sealed bearing where the originals were shielded, metal shields instead of the nitrile rubber. Really not much to talk about here. This is just the bearings bearing presses on the shaft. You run the shaft through, thread this on, run it through the other side, then you pull the bearing in. I actually used these two nuts here to pull the bearing into place, but if you had an arbor press that all this would fit in, that would work too. This is secured with a pair of set screws here and here, and I don't have a flashlight on me, so I can't show you, but it's just a set screw with a lock nut. Somewhere along the line, either these were replaced or mixed up or something, because this shaft is dimpled for a cone point set screw, and what was in here were a serrated cup point that actually this rotated on this shaft a little bit at some point, and it kicked up a lot of burr, so I had a really hard time getting this off. What I actually did was I took those serrated cone point or cup point screws and put them on the grinder and turn them into cone points, and we retouched the shaft here with a center drill just so it had a nice proper pilot to lock into. So this all runs nice and smooth now. These parts are actually coupled. It looks weird in the screen, like it looks like I'm turning this and then this turns after it. I guess that's the motion correction or something. But anyway, I'm going to put this back together. So this is actually the lower part of it. This is the upper part. This would be mounted to the bottom of the underdrive cabinet. This is the belt tensioning lever. This is the spring. This is the pin that goes in here, holds those two parts together, and there's a shaft that sits here, which is over on the other bench. So once I get this baby stuck together, I will grab another picture. Actually, maybe I'll see if I can record myself struggling with this piece of junk. That should be good for some entertainment, provided I can get set up over here with the camera stand, also known as the top of my stereo. Let's see. Let's see. I guess that'll work. I'll cut some of that out, I guess. Let's see. That back out. This is not particularly light by any means, so please don't get the notion that if it looks like I'm struggling here, that I'm doing it purely for show. This is not a lightweight arrangement. mess up already. There's also a clamp collar that goes on here. Gotta have all the parts. Works better if you have all the parts. Go that way. That should be a soft hammer, but I don't have one on hand. It's not in this room. Be very gentle with it. There's a drilling in the end of the shaft where this set screw lines up. Shaft back and forth, I should slowly tighten it. It'll lock right on in there. There's that. This collar here will set where this rides relative to this, because as it is, you can move this back probably 3/8 of an inch. And it doesn't need to move that far. Looks like the original set screw positions will put it right over there. Alan's leaving his keys around again. That feels like it's locked in the original groove. Off the table. So this goes here. This goes here. This is the motor belt tensioning rod. The motor sits here and it tensions the drive belt that runs the counter shaft. This screws in here. Some paint in the hole. Of course, there's paint in the hole. Let me fix that too. Harbor Freight tap and die set. I believe that's half 13. Lock nut on the bottom. Well, I guess it'd be the top. That's set so the stud is just barely above it. Screws on like that. That goes like that. And I made the mistake of straightening that stud out, thinking that when I pulled it apart it was bent. I was thinking, well, that can't be right. Well, it is right. very careful, precise massaging of the bolt. A little too far. Almost like when you hammer on threads, they get screwed up. About that. Actually looks okay. But check this thread repair file. That's how that sits. Let's see. Those two things. Got a tap. These are the 3 mounting bolts. That's the spring. Where did the pin go? I had the pin on the table. I know I had the pin on the table. So I picked it up and pointed out the fact that the pin was on the table. We're going to cut that while I sit here and find the parts that I knocked off. for the fun part. This spring hooks on that way. Luckily, that one wants to go that way. So, it's quite a significant spring. Luckily. Very careful, you can overcome it. But yeah, wash it on the right side of the damn thing. There we go. Alright, and that is the underdrive assembly. Oof. That's flat belt tight, flat belt loose, motor bolts on the bottom of this. This tensions it. And that's pretty much the magic. So, yeah. Now the next step's going to be putting this baby back in the cabinet, which may or may not happen today. Depends on how much I feel like dragging this outside in the rain to get it in the front shop. So, there you go. Ta-da.